Okay, we should be live, guys. What's going on? Thanks for being here. We're gonna be doing a live reaction today. Just get this all sorted out so we can do this. I need to. Hold on. I want to bring up the chat here to the side. Should have had this set up already. In the chat. Okay. All right. Let's get this full screen. Yeah, I want to react to this Hasan Kahraman interview. I think this would make for some interesting content. I mean, there's really nothing going on right now. There's literally like nothing happening right now. Sony's dead silent. The news is dragging. I was kind of waiting around to see if there'd be anything worthwhile to talk about, but it doesn't seem like there is. And so I thought, you know what, we could do just a live reaction to this. I probably should have done this sooner, honestly, because I mean, we covered this extensively. Last year, and Blue Box just kind of went away for a while, and it seemed like this whole thing was over and done, and I kind of figured it was, and I assumed that Hasan and Blue Box, they're just gonna kind of do their thing, and when they come out again, they'll have an update. But when I saw that Colin Moriarty was able to score an interview with Hasan, I was quite surprised. Like, I didn't think Hasan would be doing any interviews or anything like that. So yeah, I'm gonna react to this. I'm gonna try my best not to like interrupt it too much, but obviously I'm gonna have some things to say with this. All right, so let me know how the audio is for this. If it needs to be raised at all, I can adjust it on the fly. So just let me know. Let me bring this up here. Okay. All right, let's get it started.
Supplement. This is episode number, I have no idea. We're doing this kind of on the fly. My name is Colin Moriarty. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, someone I have been chasing after for some time. He's been slipping through my fingers, but I finally got him here on Sacred Symbols, the biggest PlayStation podcast in the world. His name is Hasan Kahraman. Hasan, thank you for coming, my friend. How are you today?
Yeah, audio's good.
Hello, and thank you for
Hasan. It's Hasan.
It's really an honor, really.
He's here. He's real.
I have to say I'm a bit nervous, so I hope you guys, keep that in mind. But it's really cool to be here and to talk about everything because, I want to talk about everything. Like, just be clear, be transparent, and hopefully, and of course, most important of all, to have a good chat with you guys. So.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. We are not here to, and I'll catch everyone up in a minute. We are not here to attack or put you in a corner or anything.
No.
Let me explain everything to everyone first if they're just tuning in, and then we will get into the interview in earnest. So Hasan is the founder and I guess lead dev of Blue Box, a Dutch game studio. In the spring of last year, they announced an app, a real-time app, an experience app called Abandoned, which they released on PS5. However,
abandoned.
Surrounding all of that has been great mystery. And I must say, and I don't know if you'll find this surprising or not, maybe you won't, is I've been writing, this will be my 20th year as a professional in the games industry. And this is the weirdest story I have ever encountered in my entire career.
Okay, so I had to interrupt here because that is something that I've always found fascinating, and I've talked about this before, how, I listen to Sacred Symbols, I like Colin Moriarty, and I noticed that he can't, like, shake this off. Like, a lot of other people in the industry are like, this is nothing, it is what it is. And Colin, as he points out here, he's been in the industry for like 20 plus years, and he's been covering PlayStation for pretty much all of that time. And as he says, this is one of the most bizarre things he's ever seen. And it's just like unexplainable. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of point that out because I'm not the only one who still sits here and is like, what is this? This is the strangest thing ever.
I think it's fascinating from many different levels. And there's a lot I want to ask you about Abandon and about your career and all of this. So I just wanted to set that up. That's what this is really about. And I want to begin at the very top. I want to know who you are. Where do you come from? What's your education and all of that? I mean, how did you find your way to games? Tell me a little bit about Hasan Kahraman. Like, we don't really, you're a name. We know your game. We know but we don't know your story. I'm curious if we can start there.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's a really good question. I love talking about myself. Yeah, absolutely. So basically,
also Hasan's camera angle is really weird.
Yeah, I'm actually just a dude living in the Netherlands.
Very ominous.
I've been working. I've actually learned games through like how do you have to say it? Like self-learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, self-taught.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like I think it was 14. Yeah, I was 14 when I started, learning.
He's hiding
like,
something. That's why his camera angle's like that.
I purchased a book that you had this game engine.
That room is very empty too.
Basically took you step by step on how to make a game and how, basically what the basics are.
He's probably just using his phone.
Of a game,
Yeah, that would make sense.
And basically
I guess.
From there, I got more interested and basically, teach myself more about like modeling and animation and whatnot, and basically that's basically where I started, and yeah, from there I basically worked on projects that's more like game jams and personal projects, and then and later on I basically founded Blue Box Game Studios. But it wasn't an official company back then, because at the beginning it was more like some ideas and concepts of games, and it actually became a company in 2015. That's where the Blue Box Game Studios became official with concepts of games that were actually in development before that, but in 2015 became like an actual company. And I've been also working as a freelancer, as an animator, but nothing too fancy. It's just just small jobs, here and there, and that basically kept me going, and yeah, that's where I am now with Blue Box Game Studios.
Okay, so you had mentioned, so it's about 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, that you had founded officially Blue Box as it existed. Was the studio originally just you? And you had mentioned this kind of freelance work you were doing. Was that the money that was supporting the studio and making its original games? Is that kind of the way it works?
That's a really good question that you bring that up. Yes. Basically, Blue Box Game Studios was first founded by myself, but I had some contact with, friends, and basically, they joined along. We were really small, and that's basically where we started. It was all small, like games. You probably have seen, the community have put a timeline of all Blue Box games, and you've probably seen a few, right? And for example, like The Whisperer is a game that I've made just by myself. This was just for mobile, and then The Haunting was actually made with friends, right?
And that's Create Q. Is that company that's doing The Haunting?
Right. I'll get back to that later because they're not an official company, right?
Okay.
There is a lot of confusion about that, and and that's on me. Poor communication. So yeah. So basically, The Haunting was a game that was created with friends, and Abandoned is actually a game that's actually become a serious project, right?
I guess it has become quite serious at this point. Chris B, you're saying Kojima's green screen skills are on point. His Hasan persona looks so real. Yeah, so that's something I do want to check out when this is over. Is some of the comments underneath this interview are just pure gold. Pure gold.
Abandoned is not that fun project anymore with friends. It's actually now the real deal. It's serious. And that's why we got freelancers involved and other parties involved. We have plans for Abandoned, after the prologue. But I don't want to talk about that right now because
Okay.
otherwise it's going to be like a promise that I don't want to do that.
We don't need Hasan making any more promises here. Michelle Butts, you're saying word of the day is basically, yeah, I do that too. And that's, I can't really fault Hasan. I mean, he's obviously a little bit nervous here. He says basically a lot. And I say, a lot. So I feel Hasan there, I get it.
Right?
Yeah, I
I
don't
get
think you
it.
should be making any more promises.
No,
my
exactly.
personal advice to you.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically what I'm trying to say here is that, we're working on prologue now, and we take really seriously. It is something we believe in, right? Abandoned is a game that we believe in. It's ambitious, and it's a personal project because every indie game has this personal touch in them, right? And in Abandoned, that personal touch is basically that realism. It's basically what I'm trying to say is what I believe how a realistic battle scenario would look like in game, right? And first person. So and yeah, that's basically that special thing in Abandoned. It's about that realistic gameplay. It's about I'm not claiming to be a triple A studio who has all the resources and funds to create this blockbuster, super detailed environment. But what we are after for is to create a realistic looking scenario, like an environment, but the package all inclusive, right? Just with animations and everything, whatnot included. So we are after that realistic simulation, right? Not to have it feel like an arcade game or a fast-paced shooter like Call of Duty, for example. But Abandoned is actually quite the opposite of those games, and that's basically where we are right now. And I know what you're and I know what you're wondering is that, so why haven't we seen anything so far? And that's because, and this is the thing, Abandoned is a personal project, right? It's personal. It's something I create. It's something that I'm really proud of. Um, but, and I'm really completely honest here, it's not perfect yet. It's not ready to be shown. It's sometimes it feels cheesy.
The 1B 22,000, you're saying, I remember I was chasing you down corridors with walls that moved through places I had been before, shifting rooms and closing doors. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll keep going.
But I am at this point where I'm like struggling with myself, like in between decisions, whether should I just
Really quick, Mini Tom Official saying my mic is broken. I've noticed you mentioned audio issues a few times. Is anybody else having audio issues with my microphone? Just to get it sorted out now. If also, yeah. Wow, that was really loud. Yeah, Colin's face during this interview is priceless. Everybody, okay, it might be on your end, man. Man, somebody is racing down that road. Somebody's saying there's some crackling sounds here and there. I wonder why that is. Maybe, hold on. Could be because of the wire here. Primal Plasma, member for 13 months. You're saying I can smell BS from a mile away. This is just an elaborate con to get more kitty. Beware of people who talk a lot and say nothing. All right. Let me know if the crackling sound continues. Maybe, I don't know if it's because of my headphones or whatnot. Maybe I'll have to mess with it a little bit. RE46N2 Ray says the storyline of the game is very Metal Gear. Yeah, I can't wait till he describes the storyline. All right, let's keep going.
Show any development footages of the game, because the community kind of does force me to do so, right? Or should I just stick with my original plan and just reveal it when everything is ready and like how I initially wanted to do, right? So I still haven't made up my mind because at the same time I do believe showcasing some footages of the development build, even if it's not just in game, even if it is just a process, like how like a visualization of a specific scene, or something like that, just anything, and
I just want to say real quick, one of the things I find strange about what he's saying is that he already did technically show us at like this. I mean, Hasan is making it sound like he's so concerned about showing like early footage or footage that's not really representative of the final game. But if you go look at the original abandoned trailer that was put out on April 7th last year, I mean, that seemed to be as early conceptualization as it can get. And he confirmed multiple times that that's not really what the game is going to look like. That's not the game. So that kind of doesn't line up with what he's saying here automatically, because you literally already did that. And then if you actually go on the Abandon app on PS5, I mean, we were essentially told that the 4-second teaser that we saw of a guy walking across a floor does that not count as early footage? So this is what's pretty strange to me, But we'll keep going.
And that's a thought that I've been struggling, in a short while now. And but the thing that holds me back here is gamers don't read. Let me put it this way: gamers don't really care about it's a development footage. They only care about what they're seeing. Their judgment is based on what they're seeing, and I just want it to be and because it's personal, I'm going to be very honest. It's scary. It's scary to see so many people, so big of an audience, and then having to look at your work just like that. So I want my first impression to be. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I want my first impression to be at least
I'm just gonna put subtitles because I know some people are maybe having a hard time completely understanding.
Blog post from it's actually, I had no idea. It was on April 7th, so we're recording this almost exactly a year later from when the original blog post went up. And you had said just before that you wanted to kind of have gone back to your original plan of showing it when it's ready, but that wasn't the original plan, right? I'm curious what happened here, because there's no way that you intended on releasing this thing and then not showing anything. It sounds like, based on reading this and a few interviews you've done, that you had planned on releasing the entire game.
I thought Booth 47 was Lords of Trenton.
Lords of what?
Rick, it's the portal. Give her the password.
I didn't know there were ads.
And then
I forgot I'm on an incognito tab.
Sequence, and it seemed like you had
Sorry for
more
about that.
because you had said that you had wanted to show a piece of the trailer you had kind of created. So where is that trailer? I mean, I'm curious what happened at the very last second that dissuaded you from ever showing anything. This just seems, this is strange. This is where the strangeness really gets going for me.
Yeah, and I get why it's strange because it's not really communicated. That's the purpose of us doing this right now. In the PlayStation blog, what you see there in the blog, that is exactly what the game is, right? When it comes to let me say this real quick. The PlayStation blog actually was more like
I just gotta say, I notice with Hasan's the way he's talking, I notice a lot of people are like, dude, this guy has no idea what he's saying and he's making it up on the fly. And that could be a possibility for sure. There's definitely a lot of stuff here that's like, okay, I guess. But I noticed that there are these moments randomly, and you'll notice them, where there's definitely something he's supposed to say that he forgot to say, and it's like, oh wait, I got to mention this thing too. Not trying to read into it too much, but I just feel like with an interview like this, it's almost impossible not to read a little bit too much into it, because it's like, we're almost 12 minutes into this, and I still feel like, okay, transparency, you're going to be open, you're going to tell us, you're going to let us know, and I'm like, I haven't learned anything yet. RU46 NT Ray, you're saying Colin gets so frustrated in this interview. Yeah, you can see it on his face. And we'll just keep going. You're saying, MBG, you're looking for things that you want to exist, knock it off. Well, no, I mean, I do it all the time. So I get it, you know? But I guess to me, what's a little strange is that there are some times where Hasan's speaking where it sounds like he literally has no clue what he's talking about or what he's even saying. But then there are other times where he's just, okay, now I'm lasered in and I got to say these things in this specific order. It's pretty interesting. All right, we'll keep going here.
To let you know that the game, this is the concept and it's in development, right? So it was more like a first platform announce. You know what I mean? It's not really a release announcement or something like that. It was just, you know, to tease everyone, like, hey, this is coming. You know, it was not. I never, trust me, I never had the intention. I never saw it coming that people would think that it was Hideo Kojima behind it, or that they thought it was a new Resident Evil 9 or a Silent Hill game.
Okay, so sorry, but I gotta say, he mentions Resident Evil 9. I'm going to be real right now. I covered this thing extensively when it was going down. I do not recall seeing a single individual saying this is Resident Evil 9. Maybe some people did, but overwhelmingly, everybody was thinking it was Silent Hill, or even before that, with the original abandoned trailer that's up on the PlayStation channel now. I remember even before the blue box thing blew up, so many people were commenting on that trailer on April 7th, being like, this is Hideo Kojima. This seems like Hideo Kojima. And I'm not saying he's not telling the truth here, but what is funny to me is that he's saying that he never even thought of that. He never even considered that people would think this. And it is really funny to think that that is literally like the first thing that many people immediately went to as soon as the abandoned trailer dropped on the PlayStation YouTube channel. And I remember that day, or maybe the next day, they actually had to put out a little press release saying we are not affiliated with Hideo Kojima. So it's kind of funny in a way.
Right. You know? So with the blog post, the only intention was to just to announce the game. But in my opinion, you know, with your question after a year, I do admit, you know, the game was announced too soon. That's just a mistake. That's because it was
seems to be soon. Yeah.
And then the real-time experience app was also announced too soon. But the reason why that I
still have that installed on my PS5.
You know, we had this small group of followers on Twitter, and I wanted to create like an engagement, and I wanted to show what we already have, which was not much because it was still, you know, early in development. So I wanted to show, you know, the followers, like, you know, like what we have in the real-time experience app. And then, which will come to another point, is, you know, with the SNL tweet.
Okay,
that
here we go.
Exploded things. And immediately we had so many followers. Like, it was so insane. Like, when I tweeted the SNL tweet, the idea behind it is because we had this small group of followers on Twitter, and people were already familiar with the concept of, you know, of the game, right? Being a survival game. So at least, you know, have people to guess the word survival out of it, right?
You
that
gotta
was the
be
initial
kidding me.
plan, like the initial idea, and the idea was then to release the real-time experience app shortly after that, even if it was like a short teaser running in real time. The idea was then to reveal the title name in full depth, like what it is. So it's not just only survival, but actually like the whole title name.
Okay. All right. So let me get this straight. You're telling me, Hasan, you're telling Colin, you're telling us that when you put out the SNL tweet, there wasn't any part of you, maybe not a single thought, I hope people don't think this is Silent Hill. Like, they already think you might be associated with Kojima. You already had to put out a statement. I want that to be known. They already had to put out a statement before that tweet came out saying that they were not associated with it. But you thought people were going to get survival. That should, I gotta admit, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny because obviously, see, this is where I get just hung up on this, okay? Like, I get that Hasan, no offense to him, but you know, he says he's telling the truth here. He can kind of come off as the kind of person where it's like maybe he really did think people would guess survival. Like maybe he's basically saying he's completely ignorant to the notion that people would think Silent Hill. And that's the position he's taking where it's like I had no idea. But I'm supposed to believe that you're kind of like that dense in a way, like you're saying it yourself. You didn't know, even though it's blatantly obvious. And yet you're still able to get all of this shit done. You're able to get a blog post with Sony. You're able to get an app with Sony. You're able to capture everybody's attention. You're able to whatever, man. Whatever. Chris B, you're saying, wait, wasn't there a tweet about getting a free game or something? He talks about that, I think, at some point about deleting older tweets. Oh, and that's something else here too, is what's really strange is the way he's explaining this is he was like, oh, well, we wanted people to guess the word survival. And after that, we were then going to reveal the full title name of the game. And they still have not revealed the title of this game. We are sitting here, what is it, April 13th, 2022. Hasan has done multiple interviews, and we still don't have the actual title of this game. The only title we have is the one we've had this whole time, Abandoned Real-Time Experience. I still find it so entertaining, though. I gotta admit. Kevin Senior saying the game was announced too soon. The blog post said the game would come out Q4 2021. How can the game be in early development then? I mean, I've seen some people online after these interviews came out basically saying, like, can we all just kind of agree that Sony just screwed up here, that Sony gave this indie dev a chance and they just really got screwed over or they made a mistake? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But again, the app is still there. The blog post is still there. Sony has done nothing in it to attempt to distance themselves from this, nor has Konami. I mean, I get that there's reasons why none of them would want to publicly touch it in any way. I get that, but I don't know. Man. Reyes, you're saying, and Sony still hasn't said anything about this. Yeah, I mean, I will say before I continue this, I feel like when it comes to the idea that Sony would want to talk about this, that Sony would want to acknowledge this, it is kind of understandable why Sony would choose to just be silent, because Sony, in a way, I mean, I think Hasan says at some point that Sony didn't fund this game at all. He just said that Sony was basically kind, or we'll have to listen to what he actually says, but they let him do the blog post. They gave him the app, and Colin asks him these questions. But I don't know, people are so, well, maybe not right now, but back when it was really happening, people were so convinced, myself, I was so convinced there's more to this, that if Sony even attempted to say anything, people were just going to be like, we don't believe you. Sony's lying. Now, I mean, that's kind of how insane this whole thing has gotten. So we'll keep going. You're saying MBG, Shuhei Yoshida gave us a clue and people ignored it. This is bigger than a lot of people think. Well, that's the thing. I definitely want to talk when this interview is done about like whether or not I still think there's actually something to this or not. So we'll get there.
But and this is the weird coincidences come in. This is where
weird coincidences, guys.
That tweet kind of blew out of like just every 5 or 10 seconds. We had so many followers, and the notifications kept on coming and coming and coming. And there was someone, who I work with who was like, where are they coming from? Like we have an SNL tweet, but we were just engaging with our small audience, like
Silent Hill fans. That's where they're coming from.
Who I work with figured that, hey, like, when you look at the YouTube comments, you have people guessing it's Resident Evil 9 or Hideo Kojima's behind it, or this is Silent Hill, And I was like, aha. So people think it's Silent Hill, and based on the comments that you saw, and it was quite confusing because like a month and a half ago, like in April, we had to put a statement on the website, and that statement was pretty much discussed everywhere. And I figured, okay, well, people got it now, and it was quiet for a month and a half. So it was just something that I didn't see coming,
All right. I'm gonna have to point this out. He basically just, what Hasan basically just said is that we put out a statement when the trailer first came out, clearing all of this up. Everybody talked about the statement, and so he essentially thought that he was in the clear to do an SNL tweet and nobody would think Silent Hill. I'm sorry, like, dude, I don't know what Hasan wants me to believe, but I refuse to believe this man is that uninsightful. I'm trying to like word it correctly, but there's no way that is not believable whatsoever. I'm sorry. It's just not. The 1B 22,000, you're saying, back into the dream, I fell through the fields up to the hill. I could feel the town below seeping underneath the snow. I mean, I don't know. I think what's just strange about what Hasan's saying is he's basically coming out here. I'm saying basically now. He's coming out here and he's like, look, I get that people maybe jumped to certain conclusions and thought we were Hideo Kojima or Silent Hill or Resident Evil 9, as he says, but we made it known that we're not. So we're definitely in the clear to start teasing stuff and acting like we are. Like, no, you can't say you're not and then proceed to do things that make it seem like you are. It makes no sense. Oh, I gotta admit, man, I was not anticipating this interview to be so entertaining so far.
And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's funny or just annoying. It's just, but what
I think it's a weird at the very least, because I think a lot of it was fueled by what seems like the coincidence that your name translates to Hideo, right? In Google Translate, which is interesting.
I forgot about that.
That kind of drew some people, and of course, the oddities surrounding Kojima's previous two games.
Okay, hold on. Can we just look at Hasan's face right now? He's just like, oh, yes, just another strange coincidence. Who would have thought of that? This is gold. This is absolute gold. First of all, I am almost positive with this interview, like, Colin Moriarty has kept his cool. He keeps his cool the whole time. And you could tell the more Hasan talks, Colin is just like trying to understand how it's gotten to this point. And I'm pretty sure that most of the time that Colin is giving him to speak here, it's almost making it worse for Colin, because I'm telling you, dude, Hasan is like a master of taking somebody's question and just dragging it just all the way through this field, all the way. And by the time you get to the end of it, you don't even remember what the question was that you asked originally. It's impressive. But I'm looking at Hasan's face right now, and he's just got that troll face on, man. He looks like a straight up troll.
Games, which he did, or I guess PT didn't end up coming, but both times he created a fake studio, a fake story, fake logos, all these kinds of things. So I'm not saying you're doing that or that you did that, but I can see where people are starting to connect these dots, especially because it's a PS5 exclusive and all of the rest. So I could and the SNL thing, like you said. Now, if I saw that tweet, to be honest, because I'm not a huge Silent Hill fan at all, I would have never made that connection. So I appreciate that particular aspect of it. But I want to ask you this. And this is kind of where my, I guess, development slant comes in. Sony, there's never been anything like what you're doing on PlayStation before. No. There's never been a real-time app. This is not something that just appears. I'm curious, how did you pitch this to Sony? Are they involved in this at all? Because it's interesting that you chose to be a PS5 exclusive, which is fine. But and I know it's somewhat trivial.
Look at his body language. What does it tell you?
So,
it's
okay. So
yeah. So talk to me a little bit about this.
His body language, man.
Like an NDA specific question, because it's kind of in depth, like what the process is behind the screens. But what I can say, because I don't want to give answers, of course. What I can say is that the real time experience.
Okay, I just want to ask you guys, because I have the I had the captions up, and maybe it miscaptioned it. I don't know. But what I read is he said, "I don't want to give answers." Now I'm going to assume that was just a mistake. Surely he said, "I do want to give answers," right? I'm just making sure, like, I'm not. Oh, dude. I love when Colin gets his questions in because, yeah, I see you guys in the chat. You're like, dude, Hasan's squirming, man. And he is. Like, dude, he is asking these good questions, like the questions that need to be asked. And you could tell Hasan is like kind of sitting there. He looks like he doesn't want to laugh. He's trying not to laugh. He looks like he's trolling. He looks like he wants to say something, but he's not allowed to say it. But he also has this look like, okay, let me see how I can explain my way out of this one.
This was, it's our own idea.
I love it.
Right? Because let me make one thing really clear to everyone. Abandoned is developed independently, right? Sony has like nothing to do with it. They're not funding it. They are not. We don't have a special deal with Sony that's like, this is only for us, right? That's not the case. Abandoned is dedicated for PlayStation. Yes, it's our own choice. It's dedicated for the PlayStation community, and it will be only released on PlayStation platforms. Just because PlayStation is the right fit for
that doesn't make sense.
Type of games, and yeah, we ourselves are also PlayStation fans. So it's a game that's made by PlayStation fans for PlayStation fans.
Okay. Does anybody else find what he's saying here just a little odd? Like, I can't get over. I'm sorry to keep pausing it, but it gets weirder as it goes on. What I find really bizarre about what he's saying, it's a game made by PlayStation fans for PlayStation fans, okay? And he keeps alluding to this development team, but we have yet to ever see anybody of this development team. It's almost like this development team is non-existent. Yeah, Colin's face right now. And the strangest thing to me is if you're emphasizing the fact that you're an indie dev and Sony is not funding you at all and you have no backing, all this stuff, why are you actively choosing? I mean, I'm a PlayStation fan too, but you better believe if I was a developer, an indie developer, where my goal was to sell as many copies of a game as I possibly could, I would not purposely choose to limit myself with just a PS5. I would try to be multi-platform and get my game everywhere, unless Sony gave me a reason to be like, hey, come be a PS5 exclusive or whatever. So that's a little weird to me. I don't get that. Primal Plasma, you're saying real devs don't talk about their projects. Yeah, not like this. See, I don't think so.
And it's a game I personally believe in. And the real-time experience is basically because I figured that the PlayStation 5 has the super fast SSD, right? You can load levels just within seconds, right? It has minimal loading, and with the features and with the next gen power, you can pretty much do new things. And a real time experience is a way that you can use for marketing your game. And what I mean by marketing is not these fancy Silent Hill rumors. No, it's completely the opposite. What I mean by marketing is actually have trailers or videos or footages that could serve as trailers and put them in real time in PlayStation 5. And what these trailers are, what they are actually, they are more like bits and pieces of the level in the game, but you just basically put them in in the app, and then it could be a cutscene, could be a cinematic,
so
could be something playable.
It's not a game,
but it's just a new way, and this was not possible before on PS4 because
this is dude, I'm sorry, this is fucking insanity. Like, this is why I know a lot of people are like, dude, you got to interview Hasan. There's no way I would be able to, because I would have to. I can't sit there like Colin and be calm, cool, and collected and let this man talk, because I would literally be like, let me get this straight, dude. You were just telling me you're an indie dev making a game about survival with realistic shooting mechanics, and literally 10 fucking minutes later, you're talking to me about a marketing tool. The Abandoned Real-Time Experience is a marketing tool that is meant to show some trailers and parts of the level, and this is kind of how it was constructed to be. And then I'm what the hell? It makes no sense. Yet this okay, all right, I'm done.
Because every time you're gonna switch levels or switch just scenes, there is loading going on, and you have the objects popping up the screen because of the hardware limitations. So PS5 was just a perfect fit to.
Somebody's saying I'm confusing the app with the game. Well, I kind of get that. Maybe he's like, oh, this is how we're gonna market our own game, but it's like, again, you're supposed to be a small indie dev, but you're taking on this new way of maybe it's true that they really are just indies and they're like, let's find a new unique way to market our game, and that's pretty cool. But again, I'm supposed to believe that this guy did not realize his SNL tweet would be seen as Silent Hill, but he's smart enough to be like, you know what? I got this crazy idea of how we could market video games going forward on the PS5. It just doesn't add up. JDTV, you're saying there's something missing in this stream. Yeah, I see you, JDTV.
To use a real-time experience. And that's the whole idea behind it. It's just to watch trailers, to watch footages in real time. And it's different than a demo, because a demo is something that's eventually, it's just playable. It's just a piece of the game. But a real-time experience is literally just a trailer. So it kind of adds that new, and this is also something interesting, is that a trailer as an indie game developer, making a trailer usually is very expensive. So indie developers make the trailers themselves, which may end up a bit, I'm not saying they're cheesy. I'm not saying they're bad, because trailers real. There are good trailers out there. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that as an indie, you might want to do trailers in a whole different way. And I think that's also what people kept, looking at Blue Box aside of the conspiracy, because what the heck is a real time experience? It's another marketing asset, and I believe it's just a shame, really, that we haven't been able to update it properly and to fill it with content properly. Because just like you said, there's only a 5-second clip right now as we speak, which I'm absolutely not proud of. This is
I was gonna. Well, let me. I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me ask: how do you feel about how do you respond to the accusations that everything that people have seen in screens and video they're all asset flips from Unreal? Is that true?
I mean, so the only asset we used is the forest pack for the initial teaser.
Okay.
And the reason why
I got an ad coming up.
Before I go on, I gotta wait for ads.
Hey, Mark. With YouTube Premium, there are no ads. Keep going, Loop.
For development purposes. And usually when you make a game, you start with the gray box level, and you basically just, make the mechanics there, make sure that everything works out. But we use that forest pack as a template, right? To kind of to create, our assets, the systems, in a realistic way. Like, for example, we do motion capture. And it's not what people think, that we have a fancy motion capture studio with mocap operators or something like that. No, it's just a mocap suit. And basically what we do is we capture them, we do motion capture, and then we basically obtain the raw data for it, and then we do convert bring it into a program. We do cleanup. We making sure that we get rid of the noise and jitters and whatnot. Make it make it look production ready, and make sure that it fits into a game logic. And
okay, so I'm not a developer, but he starts to talk a little bit like he's a developer, right? And I've seen some people say this, where they're like, this dude comes off as if he wouldn't know game development if it smacked him upside the head. And that's true. He kind of comes off that way, but then he starts talking a little bit like, okay, all right. I guess you kind of sound like you could know a little something about game development, So I noticed that.
Basically, we use that forest template, as a starting point. It was never meant to actually include that in the game, right?
Many times you're saying a motion capture suit costs over $4,000.
I thought the trees were looking really good, and I was like, maybe we could,
Really?
Use this in the game. But the community was
He
like,
Googled.
no, don't do
He
that.
Googled it.
It's going to be an asset flip, and I mean, we at the end of the day, the first pack was just for development purposes, and then people saying
This
it's
is
an
stressing
asset
me out.
flip,
Like this is straight up
like,
stressing
we
me
use
out.
metahumans, and the metahumans is actually meant for game developers to use for their games. We use metahumans for creating characters, not out of the box, of course.
See, he
but more
starts
like
to
we
sound like he knows a
characterize
little
them,
bit
and
about
we
what
do
he's
that,
talking about here.
by changing textures and clothing and whatnot. But basically, yeah, that's all there is. And we create
That's
our
not all there
assets from
is.
scratch.
That's not all there is.
We do photogrammetry ourselves. We make models ourselves. So it's I get it where people are afraid of, because you have a lot of asset flips on the PlayStation Store and Steam and whatnot. You have a lot of them, and everything has been so fake. And I understand why there are some people out there who are afraid that it might be an asset flip. But
I do want to say Hasan is speaking some truth here. I occasionally go onto the PlayStation Store just to look around, and my God, I am utterly shocked at some of the stuff that makes its way onto the PlayStation Store. It is disturbing. Like, it is straight up disturbing how that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. So he's speaking some truth here.
that's absolutely not the case.
All right, so let me ask you a little bit more about the business. Something you had said to Jason Schreier when he interviewed you last year. I was reading his story on Bloomberg. You had said, and it's not verbatim.
Primal Plasma software developers don't dress like that, for one.
After a failed Kickstarter that you did. That's what you said to him. Now,
no, that's not what I said. That's it might be an article, but I think it's just his own wording, and I don't have disrespect to him. I think
he said, he said, quote, he said he'd attracted the attention of Sony in 20what following that failed Kickstarter. So, is that not true?
No. Well, what happened was he made it sound fancy. What actually happened was we had this game called Rewind Voices of the Past. And this was actually another version of Rewind that we had a Kickstarter initially.
Yeah, shots fired at Jason Schreier. You just straight up called Jason Schreier a liar.
Because that's actually
Jason Schreier the liar
as well. But Rewind Voices of the Past was a higher quality version of the Kickstarter version. And that's why we also requested funding for Voices of the Past, right? And basically, we pitched the demo. We pitched a concept of it. We pitched the design document and whatnot. We pitched that to Sony, and basically, that's where we started being a PlayStation partner. As a third party, as an indie. But it's not that Sony approached us or something. It's not like that. It's just it's the other way around. It's actually Blue Box, approaching Sony, doing requests, and
right. So like my studio has done in the past,
yeah,
to get your kits and all that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing fancy about that. I think he just used fancy words, but this I never said to him on the phone that it's PlayStation approached me. I never said that.
Fair enough.
Dude, okay, that laugh has to be the most nervous laugh I've ever heard from somebody. Like, I didn't say that. Like, this dude is like sweating bullets over here. Oh man. I don't mean to laugh, but like, geez.
One thing I'm curious about, and I don't think this should be NDA'd, is who's funding your game? Do you have a publisher?
That is NDA'd.
Or
so,
an investor?
That's NDA.
I'm curious who is funding this, because the way you're describing this game and the way it's been described, not only in that Bloomberg article but elsewhere, this game sounds like a mid 7-figure game, perhaps. I mean, you're talking about motion capture. You're talking about 50. You're laughing, but
Colin.
It says,
Colin.
On the Bloomberg article, it says the team was 10 people, core people, with 50 people working in freelance, and you've mentioned 6 or 7 studios that have worked on the game, including Noir and Decogon, which are massive art studios. So these are not cheap things. So I am curious.
Talk to me
a little bit about this.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the thing is, as I mentioned earlier, the motion capture was as I said, it's a motion capture suit. Nowadays they're affordable for for AAAs, for indies to afford. You know what I mean? It's not something that's tens of thousands of dollars. You know, it's actually pretty affordable. And so let me give you a question which is a bit clearer of an overview instead of just going, you know.
Okay.
So let me first start with, because I think this is important because people really have questions about this.
Okay, so I just want to point out, did you guys see what Hasan just did right there? Okay. I just want people to know Hasan just took in that question, proceeded to say a bunch of words, didn't actually really answer the question, and then essentially flipped it over and said, okay, now I'm taking control and I'm going to tell you what the question is and what the answers are as well to the question that you didn't even ask. Somebody says masterful. It is. I mean, that's the thing, man, is like he is twisting in a way where it's like, and I'm positive that Colin is well aware of this as it's happening. And that's why I was a little bit surprised. Like, Colin really gave this guy the floor, man. Like, there were many times where I think maybe he could have justifiably interrupted. And I think at one point he actually kind of does try to get in there and be like, whoa, hold on. You didn't verbal gymnastics. Yeah.
Rewind Paranormal Investigation game wasn't a Kickstarter. It got canceled, right? So everyone who backed didn't really have to pay for something, because if a Kickstarter campaign gets canceled, that's where people, you know, don't have to pay. All right, it was canceled because we have this private investor, and he was like, yeah, I'm willing, you know, to invest in your project, but I can only invest up to a certain amount of money, right? And anything above that is actually it's up to you, right? And I was like, sure. So I made a timetable of the costs, and it actually like exceeded, you know, the funding, and that's where basically after all the funding didn't go through at all, right? So that's where the game also, it didn't see daylight because it was just too expensive to make. And so that's that. So when it comes to, you know, Abandoned, we have a publisher for physical only, right? For physical only.
Who is the publisher for physical?
It's Probe Games. So basically what they're doing is they're just only, you know, you know, releasing the physical version for the game, you know, worldwide. And at first we were talking about, you know, funding and stuff like that for Abandoned, but when, you know, things become, you know, when we kind of like, you know, with the app, you know, when we screwed it up and we were actually behind the facts, that's where, you know, they were like, okay, well, you know what, you know, they were not confident about that situation. They just want to see, you know, progress.
See, this is actually very believable.
Right? And so I was basically dependent on, you know, the funds that I already had, you know, that it's actually my own savings, right? It's not, you know, money that's been invested or something, right? It's my own, you know, it's my own funds. And so where the outsourcing comes in place, because of that whole thing, you know, we were like, you know what, you know, we were really pleased to work with outsourcing, like the Coggin, and some, you know, other more. And basically what happened was, you know, they made artwork assets for us. And
got an ad coming up.
You know, at first we were like, yeah, we have this publisher.
We bundled our insurance with NJM and saved.
We bundled with the alpaca.
Man, these ads are killing me here.
You know, who funds it, and it was before the whole thing happened with the August thing. And then when the funding basically got cut off, we had to make special arrangements. You know, say like, okay, well, we made our own terms, right? And now for, you know, to take everything safe, you know, we're like, okay, well, we're gonna keep the assets, and you know what, we're just gonna wait before this game actually like releases, and then collect revenue, and then from there we can, you know, move on from there. So So this whole situation kind of caused, kind of caused these things to happen. Yeah.
Wait, so because I want to get a little more clarity on this. So we're talking about Abandon.
Yeah.
You had an investor that's separate from the physical publisher, and that investor no longer exists. So this is a self-funded game at this point. Is that am I interpreting this
No.
correct?
So
Please explain it to me again. Yeah.
So the publisher,
Yeah.
Perv Games,
Colin
right?
almost
Okay.
broke there, man.
Yeah. So
He
That's the
almost
physical
broke.
stuff.
we were talking with them about funding.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were going to fund. So it was Perp Games.
And you started production under the assumption that you would get that funding. Is that
no
fair?
No, the
Okay.
production of this game actually started way before. But when Perp Games started to talk and be like, yeah, we can give you funds as well, and that's when I was like, oh, so so we get room to actually get external help, and they were like, eventually yes, but they were like, we only have a team in Brazil, so if you need more help, then yeah, you have to take care of that yourself. So basically, that's what happened with the freelancers and with the outsourcing. Yeah.
So how much did you guys end up spending on or how much have you spent on the game total?
Yeah, I can't really say that because yeah, it's a sensitive topic, but what I can say is right now, roughly, I think we're about that's a good question. Yeah, quickly, yeah, just above 30K. Yeah.
Your entire budget has been $30,000 so far for Abandon?
Yeah, that's only for external artwork.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there's just there's something that doesn't make sense to me here, because the
Right.
Bloomberg
Yeah.
article again, and I know you're contesting this.
I'm laughing a little bit only because with this part specifically, I feel like genuinely Hasan like really doesn't. I don't know if he actually knows or not, but this is when Colin kind of comes out and he's like, Hasan, I'm going to tell you something right now, man. That is just not, this doesn't add up. I mean, you gave me a figure and it doesn't make any sense. And and I'm just laughing because Hasan's like, yeah, it kind of doesn't, does it? And I'm just like, what? And this whole exchange, what we just heard about Hasan trying to secure funds and him revealing 30K and what we're about to see, this whole part right here is what makes me truly believe that, I think that maybe this guy is just in over his head here, unfortunately. But we'll keep going.
But this is the best stuff we have, unfortunately, so far. Is it said, quote, he said the Blue Box team consists of 10 people and that he had outsourced work to several other studios, which accounted for the 50 figure he mentioned earlier, end quote. So I just, the rule of thumb in the industry, maybe not if you outsource to the developing world, I don't know, but the rule of thumb in the West is about $100,000 per head per year. So having 50 people work on a game is $5 million. So I don't, there's something up here I don't understand. Please explain it.
Yeah, no, that's totally on me. So basically, 50,000 people is based.
So I'm just saying, I'm looking at Hasan's eyes. His eyes are fake. When Hasan gets the most nervous and seems to run out of things to say or doesn't know what to say, his eyes become fixed on seemingly something. And I don't know what exactly he's looking at, but I can only assume maybe he has a couple notes maybe that he has to refer to keep track of all this. I don't know.
Basically, when you add up all like the outsourcing studios, they have also like a lot of people working for them, right?
Right.
And they just assign from time to time like who's gonna work on a specific art.
Hasan's on Impractical Jokers. They're like, now tell him your game costs 30K.
If when I said it's about 50,000, it's of course it's below 50,000, but that's the total number of people working on that. When you count all the outsourcing together. with their teams together. So
That's
that was
I just with such it's just I'm not saying you're lying because I don't know for sure. I'm totally not saying that, but just to put in I know that, but I want to put it into context for the people out there. Noir just worked on Halo.
Dude, his
right?
laugh.
They worked on New World.
I don't know what to make of it.
Dekogon did Returnal and Control. So that's why I'm.
They did, yes, they did, didn't they?
$1 contracts. So that's why I'm confused about the throwing out of those particular names. And you said in that Bloomberg article that there were actually 6 or 7 total outsourced studios.
I remember
so this
that.
Is where I think the confusion comes from now. I understand that slipping by a normal journalist, but I work in the industry. Like that doesn't make a lick of sense.
Listen, you can just ask me anything. I just want to be. I want to clear the air.
I'm not meaning to.
Bro, he started this 34 minutes ago. You all want to be transparent, clear the air. Has literally cleared nothing up. Only made it more confusing. And that is what is also worth pointing out. What Colin's saying here is, Noir. They even made a little video for them, which I think is now deleted, but these are AAA outsourcing studios. They work for a lot of AAA companies. They're very expensive. And I mean, Hasan wants us to believe he is an independent studio here and they're not making a big AAA game. That's not what they're trying to go for. That just conflicts. It conflicts,
attack you, but that doesn't that just doesn't pass the sniff test.
Let me explain. So yeah, at first we did had like 6 outsourcing, but that obviously became too expensive, so we were like holding that back, and what you were saying, like Noir and Dekogon, they know
sweats profusely
who Blue Box Game Studios were.
Yeah.
They know that we're indie. As a matter of fact, we talked about this with them. And they were like, we really want to work with you on this one, Noir and Dekogon, these are great companies, great people behind them. It's just, there's nothing really, how do I have to say it? Like, your question was like, these are AAA, they usually work for AAA, but, they know that we were indie and they were willing to help us. So, that's actually all there is, really. I was actually trying to make a point, but that was my point.
No, that's totally fair enough.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about Unreal. What attracted you to?
So I just want to say I don't know enough about Noir or like Dekogon to know if what he's saying, if there's truth to that. Like I don't know if indie studios can just go to these, not go, but like call these outsourcing studios and just be like, hey, we're indie and we're not really working on a massive project, but we would like to get you to work for us and hire you. I don't know. Like, does that sound normal to you? This is where I don't have enough knowledge, because Colin is basically framing it like it's a little bit bizarre that your studio would be able to get like Noir to do any work for you. And he, Hasan essentially just answers by being like, well, when we told them who we were, we're Blue Box Game Studios. Obviously, everybody knows about us. They, they're just going to work with us, even though we're indie. And that sounds so weird to me.
You're using Unreal 4, right? You're not on the 5, obviously. What attracted you to Unreal 4? I think one of the compelling things in your favor in this whole drama is that you are active on the Unreal forums.
If they promised them money, yes.
For a long time, people know that and have
true. Yeah, I guess you're right.
That was in the Bloomberg article and the NME article that you did an interview for. So what was attractive to you about this? Because one of the things that people are contesting from a because you're talking about how you're an indie. Your guys are claiming 4K at 60. Native 4K on PS5, which is not unbelievable, but games come at that. But what was attractive to you about Unreal 4? And I'm curious, like, what kind of, if you have a specific publishing deal over there or licensing deal, or if your deal is the standard.
Yeah, so we do have with Unreal Engine like this private, this Unreal developer thing.
So you're not. I'm sorry. So just to interrupt, you're not in the standard $1 million grace period 5% deal. You have something else with them.
No, for Abandoned we have a custom license. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, is that that this is where I'm not familiar enough? A custom license, is that a thing? I feel like that's a little weird. I mean, I don't know. Colin seems to Maybe Colin doesn't know either. I don't know. You can get a custom license? Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. See, this is where I don't want to say that sounds ridiculous, because for all I know, that's very common. Did he spoil the story of the game yet? He will. He will. All right, let's keep going.
So, but the thing is, that person who mentioned that in Blue Bark wasn't supposed to say that. So now I'm like active in a confidential basis there. But yeah, basically, yeah, it's true. Yeah, I was active in forums. I was also helping folks out, with setting up their projects or whatever, having some platform specific questions, difficulties, yeah, I did help them. But yeah, again, that was actually confidential. It was sad. I actually I spoke to Jason about that. He wasn't supposed to say that. But yeah,
Do you use PlayStation Neighborhood to connect your PS5?
He probably didn't have Jason sign the NDA.
That is,
he must have forgot. Have him sign it.
An NDA question.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'm not going to talk about that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, let me ask you, before I move on to this, I just want to reiterate, and you can decline. I mean, I want to ask one more time. You are declining talking about current funding, like who is funding this game and who is. I know you said you had these plans, but
yeah. Let me be clear.
Yeah. I want to know. That's the thing, is I've never heard of a game announced in which it's a mystery who funded the game. Like, I can understand you saying we haven't announced the game yet, but so this is the thing. I really need to know who's signed on to this.
This is where Colin's getting really frustrated.
That's actually another thing. I wanted to discuss something else earlier, but I forgot it because we kept on talking.
I'm sorry.
So the prologue, actually, people think the prologue is a demo, which is not. It's a full game, but it's a small game, so it has a price tag. It's low. It's a low price tag because the game is not. The duration is probably, if you keep your time, it's probably about 2 hours of gameplay. It has.
This is giving me a good insight of who's publishing the game and who's funding it.
And it has, the environments. Parts of the environments of the full game are actually also in the prologue. And the idea about the prologue is essentially just to give you, just a hands-on on the game and the mechanics, the visuals, but most importantly, the story about the game. Are you guys aware that the main protagonist players play as is Jason Longfield?
Yeah,
Jason Longfield
in the post.
Tell me, Hasan, please. I need to know the story.
You're not playing as Jason Longfield. In the prologue, you were actually playing with some random dude. He's been kidnapped and brought to that place.
Oh,
damn! And left there abandoned, alone, and trying to figure out where he is and wants to find an escape. And this is where I'm actually sharing for the first time some story-related info about the game.
Oh, here we go.
The game.
I just wanted to know. I just want to note here, people. As Hasan's about to describe this story to us, he had these notes clearly, or it's just something there this whole time where he's like, okay, this is the part where I'm going to start explaining the story. Okay, when nobody asks. Oh man. Okay, let's go. So he's letting us know that in the prologue, in the abandoned prologue, you don't actually play as Jason Longfield, but you're just some random guy. So let's get into it.
It's about this people who have been kidnapped and being brought to this specific place, and basically there is they think that they're alone, but the thing is there is actually a community inside of that place, and this community is actually ruled by it's actually under control, forced control. By this man, which the eye patch guy, and his name is Paul Longfield. So this you probably get it now. He is
I get it.
He's actually the older brother of Jason Longfield.
Well, duh.
So Jason is actually younger. Jason lost. His
my God!
When he was 2 years old. And Paul was actually
Colin's face right now.
So he knew that he had a younger brother. Jason didn't really remember him. So throughout time, Paul always kept an eye on him, But as they grow older, Paul kind of deviated from life, and that's where Jason actually, that's where Paul, started this terroristic dark community over there.
Terroristic dark community ruled by an older brother who's been keeping a close eye on his younger brother and wants to convince his younger brother to join his terroristic community there. Huh. I feel like, I don't know, and he has an eye patch. I mean, maybe I'm insane, but I feel like he's definitely close to describing something that I've heard before. And a community, people are kidnapped and they wake up in a town and they're part of a community and they're trapped there and they don't know why. I don't know. This sounds vaguely familiar somehow. Rex Sterling, you're saying, Hasan, I think that's NDA, Kahraman. Poor Colin. You can see him visibly aging from the stress of this interview, LOL. Dude, it's it's amazing. This was so good. Yeah, okay, so first of all, is it just me or is he giving us just a little bit too much info about the story of his game? Dude, for those who are not aware, Hasan is essentially describing the basic premise of both Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid 1. I feel like a lot of people listen to this as he's saying it, and they're like, I feel like I've heard this, like in their mind, they're like, I've heard this before, but whatever, why is he even talking about this? And I want it to be known that the question that Colin asked, as this man is sitting here talking about Paul Longfield and Jason Longfield, the question that Colin asked him was, so about your publishing and funding of your game? Oh man, it's good. It's good.
And that's where he wanted to, take Jason.
He's reading something right now.
And be like, hey,
Hasan's reading something.
You can have this power as well. Just join me, right? And I'm not
Join
going
me,
to talk more
Snake.
about the story.
That was like an Australian accent, but liquid and
Did you
whatnot.
write the story?
Yeah, I wrote the
Brother.
story.
Cool.
Yeah, so
That's what I do in game dev. That's the only thing I just write the stories. Other people do all the hard work.
Oh, really?
This is where Colin gave up. He's like, you know what?
That's interesting.
I ain't winning this.
Paul is actually he's not alone under control. This is the last thing I'm going to spill about the story. He has two assistants, and they are
Okay, what the? Hold on, guys. I gotta make sure that I gotta say this very last, really important part of my story. He has two fucking assistants. I need you to know that right now, guys. Paul Longfield has two assistants. Oh my God, why? Why are we still here? Like, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this.
they are basically helping him out, and the community is actually people who are kidnapped, but the thing is, those who try to escape that place are being executed.
The community that's there has currently been kidnapped, and those who try to leave are being executed. That's definitely not a social commentary. That's definitely not a commentary on current day social media. Holy shit, this is ridiculous, dude. This is ridiculous.
In front of everyone. And so kind of people are just staying in that place because they're afraid to escape. And
they're afraid to go. Don't want to get canceled.
And you as and this is the story for the full game, not the prologue. And you Jason, you don't want to accept the offer of his brother, so he actually secretly forms this alliance against him. That's where Abandoned is
cool.
about.
So it sounds a little bit like Battle Royale, the old Japanese book, not the genre. There's the inspiration for the Hunger Games and all that, or a little bit of some of these other
sounds like cool. Thank God he didn't say Silent Hill or Metal Gear.
Say that you're not going to talk about who's who's funding this game. I
said that was actually what I was talking about.
Yes.
So the prologue, so it has.
I love it, dude.
And the prologue is actually the revenue for the prologue is actually essentially going to be used, to fund the.
Oh, guys, sorry. I do also want to say what's really funny about what he's describing, by the way, does does the way he's setting this up, he's just about to tell you that the revenue that they get for the prologue of this game is going to fund the main game? What does that sound like to you? We've already been here before with Konami, with Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain. Remember what Konami said? How they're like, oh yeah, just we're making Kojima release the Ground Zeroes prologue so we can use that revenue and whatever.
The full game, the basic game.
Okay, fair enough.
Although it's not like the craziest
So it's
thing.
self-funding.
Okay, so did you say what you're going to charge for it?
Sorry?
Did you say what you were going to charge for the prologue?
That's not really 100% confirmed, so I can't really say that right now. But it's going to be 100% below $14.99.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So again, it's a short game, but at the same time, it is a game that is, it's our ambition. It's polished, and it's really exciting. Yeah.
I want to give you an opportunity to. I need to ask a couple of questions just explicitly because they would allow you to people to just dissuade of this Konami Kojima connection. Okay, so do you know who
he's trying not to laugh or smile?
Yeah, of course.
You know him personally? I'm saying, do you know?
Oh no, I don't know him personally.
Do you know Hideo Kojima? Of course I do. We hang out all the time. I'm looking at him right now on my screen. Oh man.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was gonna say you were like, of course. I'm like, I've been in the industry 10 years. I've only met him once. I didn't know he was so.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've never met him or communicated with him?
No.
And do you have any sort of relationship with Konami at all?
Konami, no.
So you never talked to them? Did they reach out after all this happened?
Yeah. Keep it really
deep
short.
breath.
I reached out to them because I was stressed out. I was stressed out because people think it's Silent Hill and, it got so out of hand and, you're just a small developer. You never had a big audience. You're inexperienced how to deal with these things. And you're just kind of, just do your best. And I reached out to Konami saying like, hey, you know what? It's never my intention, and they were really cool,
Right.
Like everyone, like Konami, but also Sony has been really cool.
Yeah. What has Sony said to you in this time?
Yeah. Sony is actually pretty cool.
Is it true that they gave you advice not to be on this show? Is that true?
No.
Oh man, no.
I heard
that sounds like
okay, interesting.
What?
No, that's not true. Sony,
okay.
No. No, but Sony is pretty cool about this. They didn't force me anything. They don't force me. Yeah, just anything really. They don't force me.
Awkward
you
silence.
have to make it to the deadline or else.
Oh man,
they're really cool. They leave it up to me, to do whatever I want. They give freedom, and it's really important. So Sony is really tolerant towards indies. So that's a really cool thing.
Who's your connection over there? Who do you talk to on the production side?
That's again NDA.
Okay, so I noticed that Colin has asked multiple questions where Hasan just has to say NDA, like it's NDA, and dude, like what the actual fuck, man? He reached out to Konami, and all he has to say is, "Oh, they were cool. They were just cool. Konami didn't care." They're like, yeah, man, it's fine. People think you're Silent Hill. You're clearly stoking the flame, bro. You're clearly stoking that flame, but it's all good. And Sony's just totally cool with it as well. Sony's like, keep doing your thing. It's on. By the way, I want it to be known that this went on for like months. Straight up, this went on for months, okay? I have a difficult time believing that if he got in contact with Konami and Sony, that they were just cool about it. Did you see that somebody made a fake 35th anniversary Metal Gear Solid website, and then they were literally begging Konami not to sue them because Konami came out and publicly was like, we didn't make that, and we're going to look into it. So you're telling me that they didn't say anything about this shit, but they're going to come out here and possibly take legal action against some dude who just made a website? Okay. All right, sure. Whatever.
Your production liaison is NDA, like who your production liaison is?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't want to.
Yeah,
risk,
actually,
so
it is. I think. I don't know what you're talking about, Colin.
Let me ask you.
This is crazy.
Well, that's not final, but one of the great mysteries to you, in my opinion, is that on your PSN profile is a game that has never been released, but that you have categorically played. It's in the run of your game. It says you've played a game called Demon Blood with a logo below. It says Siren Head. What is that? I have to, because knowing how the PSN works, and I do.
Awkward,
so
more awkward laughing from Hasan.
The games and trophy system on PS3, you used to be able to manipulate that on debug kits so that you could get debug trophies on PS3 retail units. And so you would never be able to.
Somebody says he's so nervous.
But starting with PS4, that wasn't allowed anymore. So when a game appears in a game log,
Hasan,
it is
when you
on the front-facing server.
Well,
so
him drinking that soda, so it's like that's the signal. That's the signal to his PR people. Get me the F out of here right now, guys. He's cornering me. Get me out now. Tell me what to say.
Yeah, that what you saw was actually a placeholder image, by the way. That
for your game, for Abandon?
No. Okay. It's not for Abandon. Absolutely not.
So it's
Hasan has an earpiece in right now.
Yeah, so
tell him it was for your nephew.
So that was a game that I made for my nephew because Siren Head was really, really popular at the time, and my nephew was really and he's about 7 years old back then. Yeah, he was 8 years old, and he was really excited to but there wasn't really a Siren Head game on PlayStation, and he's a really big PlayStation fan. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this game just for him. And then basically,
and you published it on, and you got it published.
It's not published. It's actually sitting there.
So it's on a debug kit.
So the idea, it's
okay.
on the, so the idea was actually just to have it to play it. That he would actually play it. It wasn't. The idea wasn't. So first, the idea was to actually make a arcade game for the public out of that, right? But it wasn't that specific game. It was more like it didn't use Siren Head. It was a Siren Head. It was just excuse me. I just drank some pop.
No, it's all good.
Siren Head was actually more like a game for my nephew, right? But
the song about the vomit on stream from nervousness, bro.
Like a split screen game for the public. But
how did that end up in how? I just don't understand how that ended up as a package on PlayStation that showed like that. Wouldn't your nephew have to have his own debug to play a package?
I mean, if you are, I'm not really want to take risks, but
you can talk to me. I mean, we do develop on these kits. I don't think
NDA.
So the thing is, like, I want to keep it NDA safe. So basically,
keep it NDA safe,
like,
guys.
With Siren Head, or with any other game, if you launch a game on a development environment, but you still go to a production environment, that basically, people can still see it, and I do believe it's gonna still list it up there.
Interesting. I'd never tried to log in with my real credentials on the debug kit, so I guess that's why it was something I never saw. Okay, that's fair enough. I needed to ask you that because that to me is, I think, the greatest mystery. And if that's the way you,
It's just
why? Because I don't think I've ever seen a package on a game list.
Chris B, you're saying Hasan is the best improv actor Kojima has ever hired.
I cover PlayStation,
and that's why they're
he's an improv actor.
Not to use an actual gamer account for a development environment.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh my god,
I've not even tried to. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to kind of say? I want to kind of give you the floor if there's something that you wanted to kind of say as we wrap up.
Yeah. The timeline, what people keep spreading, saying like it's a scam.
Got another ad.
So
real cowboys customize and save with Liberty Mutual.
Hey Tex, can someone else get a turn?
The thing about the timeline is it's becoming interesting to take a look at a company or a studio. I don't want to use the word company because, that's kind of gives people the idea that we're just a huge corporation, which is not. We're just a small indie studio. But the idea, like the thing about the timeline is if you're gonna take a look at all the projects, in one, specifics, a list, then yeah, sure, without context, without knowing the story about it, it might seem suspicious. But actually what it is that, and I say this over and over, is that, the games that you see like Unseen Faces, even Rewind, The Whisperer, and stuff like that. Those were games that were listed on a website called IndieDB.com. That's where indie developers can put their games on there and write articles for themselves to build up an audience. And games like The Lost Tape, Unseen Faces, they never actually got an audience, right?
Kevin Reviews, you say telling me to get YouTube Premium. I do have it. I just
if you don't have an audience,
I forgot that when I
risk in developing
do an incognito window, it'll actually bring up ads.
The Whisperer was a mobile.
So my bad. Probably shouldn't have done that.
It was actually high quality, and most of our customers were from Indonesia. They're from Asian regions. And a lot of them back then didn't really have this high-end device, right? Like a Samsung Galaxy S9 or whatever. So they couldn't run it. So they bought the game, but when they realized that the game wasn't stable, they kind of always like refunded the game because and at that point the game becomes dead. So it got removed from the store. And with The Haunting, that's also very interesting. The Haunting actually got on Steam as an early access game, and there was a reason why. We had about 80 followers on Facebook, right? We had a Facebook page for The Haunting, and so some of the community members were like, yeah, why aren't you just gonna make it an early access game, right? Just for us. And so we came up with the idea to collect feedback. Okay, well, we let you play the game in advance, and the focus about that early access was actually more like what the battle mechanics were, right?
I'm gonna speed this up just a little bit because I'm pretty sure this is where it kind of ends.
Everything was just a placeholder, and that's why it was so it wasn't really polished. The game has a dedicated functionality to provide feedback, right? And that was the idea, that was the intent behind it. But what happens when you put a game on Steam? Everyone gets to see it, everyone can buy it. And so people who never interacted with it before, they don't know the story about it, and they're like, what the crap is this? And at some point, yeah, people refunded it, which is fine, of course. I want that. And that's why I was like, what, it's best to delist it for now and and release it later, right? So at this point, The Haunting is now I gave it, and this is where what you said earlier about Createch, right? The game got handed over to them, right? So it's just friends of mine, and they're working on the game under spare time, right? The Haunting will be free of charge on Steam eventually, and they're actually working on it. And people who are interested in be involved with the development for the game, they're pretty much welcome. They can also work on the game, but it became a more like an extra hobby thing instead of having this professional thing, right? So that's why it became free of charge. And people who already bought it, who did not do a refund, they can eventually get abandoned for PS5 or free of charge, or they can get abandoned for PC free of charge.
How are you going to do that on PSN? Are you just going to give codes out to people that?
That would be on my own cost. Yeah, I'm willing to pay for myself because it's unfair. So I'm willing to do that myself. Yeah.
I guess it's kind of a postscript, but do you? I don't want to say do you take any responsibility. It's really up to you. But like with the reason I think I messaged you most recently was because you guys deleted a bunch of tweets and then put up a statement.
Yeah.
Why? I don't even know how to put this. It's like, why has it been so difficult for you to stay out of your own way in some way? It seems like you are a glutton for punishment almost. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like after the reveal of the app and things not going right and so on and so forth, you'd think you would literally just kind of go dark until you really had something to show. So why did you delete those tweets? Why draw more attention to yourself when you're kind of still in work mode?
So yeah, that's a really good question. Because a few people have telling me the same thing. Like, are you doing it to get more attention? And the truth is, the idea. So the reason why the tweets were deleted was the information that was in the tweets, right, was outdated. And I wanted to kind of because we have newer information that's more accurate. And I was like, what, I'm going to delete it now to avoid confusion. I'm going to tweet new thing, the newer update about it. That was, I'm inexperienced. I'm not a marketing guy. For some, it might be self-explanatory not to delete these tweets, but yeah, I made a big mistake. That's my responsibility. I just didn't know what the outcome of that would be. Apparently, people were talking about it. There was a rumor that we had to respond to. That's after seeing all of this, I'm like, what? I think it should have been stayed there, and then tweeted the newer update later, and people will eventually see for themselves which is the outdated version and which is the the newer the more relevant tweet. So yeah.
Have you since hired PR and marketing to help you? on the outside?
There was, but then we kind of stopped with the PR thing with them. Basically, that's where I got me and I'm gonna be honest. Everyone who works with Blue Box, like I consider them as friends, not really team members, but they are actually like everyone has access to the Twitter account. But we are looking for a dedicated
You want to hire
person.
a firm or something? Is that what you want?
I actually prefer like a person internally,
Oh,
just to
okay.
hire.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking for that. And we are actually, once the prologue is out, we actually definitely want to expand our team.
Who's on? Can you name anyone? Can you tell me anyone that's on your team right now? I was looking for this too.
I
Like,
had this conversation. I had this conversation, and that's not a good idea because people really don't want to be known right now.
Would you put me in touch with one of them? Would you put me in touch with them, one of them privately, so that I can speak to them?
I'll ask.
I wonder if that actually happened or not.
And then, but I respect their wishes that they don't want to be publicly known, right? Because it's very heavy for them as well. They're like, I'm done with Twitter. No, I'm out. Like, I'm not going to do this anymore because not that they're stepping out of Blue Box, but more like they don't want to see what people are telling about us.
Yeah, that's hard to see. I understand that. I totally get that.
And trust me, man. There's a lot of threats going on. It's not healthy. I just want to say, if people are watching this, you should definitely stop with that. That's not okay, man. We will go. We will go to we do file in police reports, and like the things that people say and do. Yeah, that's just insane.
No, I agree with you. You should file police reports, and I've often said it's going to take someone to pay the price for like their threats and their anonymity online and trying to use that as a weapon to cudgel people. No one should be doing that, and I agree. These people should be pursued if the laws in your country allow that to happen, which they probably do. So, yeah, this has been interesting. I want to talk to you again one day if you'll be willing. If you don't have to commit to it now. Maybe when the game is out, we can talk about the game itself. And
listen, I pretty much I enjoyed the chat. My intentions are not malicious. My intentions just to come clean. Like, if you have more questions, just be open about it. Just be honest about it. Definitely, if you want to chat again, definitely 100%. Yeah.
Is this sped up? Yeah, I sped up the end here.
I hope you feel like you were treated fairly. That was my only goal here was to treat you fairly and to get questions out there. I mean, if you feel otherwise, you're more than welcome to say so.
Yeah, listen, I get how people are right now. That's my own fault. That's my own, and I'm speaking towards people now, not just only to you, but to the audience. Like, I legitimately understand how everyone is feeling. I know why people are skeptic. I know why people are
kind of stretched out here.
Mad about me. Or
bear with it
because there were false promises made, missed deadlines, and all the time you see, well, we're gonna do this, and then last minute you had this, we need more time, and I get it. I get why there's frustration, right? I 100% get it. But what I do have to say is
this is coming to an end,
and the things that some people say is over. Come on, I mean, we are real human beings, right?
Yes.
If you're skeptical about the game, all I'm saying is, just wait, let us do our jobs, and then when time comes, you'll see it. That's it. That's all you have to do. I mean, yeah, you can rage, but that's not going to solve anything. Everyone, it's Twitter. You can say whatever you want, and you are welcome to do so. But you do have to realize that there is a team working on a game, and that team has also emotions, and that kind of atmosphere which you see on Twitter has effect on the development. So if you want to play a game where we can be like, work, because creating a game is stressful on its own. It is, especially when you're indie. That is extra hard. And if you see like how people react on Twitter, I just want to tell them, just let us do our jobs, just cool off, because eventually that will also end up give you a better game in return.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like that's just good advice for anything. Everyone should cool out, be easy. Well, you're very welcome back with us when the game comes out. And Hasan, I want to thank you again. I know that you just finished your fast for Ramadan as well, so you're probably tired. So I thank you for taking the time to do that, and we hope to have you back when Abandoned's prologue comes out. And all of you out there, I hope you found this illuminating and interesting. Thank you for your support and love and kindness on Patreon and elsewhere. We'll see you next time for more Sacred Symbols.
All right, so that was the interview with Hasan Kahraman. Let's go see what some of the comments are saying. Mr. Matty Plays says he lost me when he said he spent $30K on this game. Let me fix this real quick. This is yeah, I got my podcast background here. Let me I'll just leave that. I'll just leave it like this. This is fine. Let me adjust this a little bit too. Yeah, so Mr. Matty Play says he lost me when he said he spent $30K on this game so far. Somebody was kind enough to do timestamps here. This person says, I feel like I'm hearing my son trying to explain why he's not in bed yet. Colin, who exactly is funding your game? Hasan, let me tell you the entire story of the prologue over the next half hour. Oh, dude, I love it. Okay, Rob says, Colin's ability to stay quiet during an interview and let this guest say more than they might otherwise is phenomenal. I agree. Colin did a very good job there. I couldn't have stayed that quiet. No way in hell. Okay, we got... Gotta respect a guy on some level for coming into an interview and just BSing all of his answers on the fly. I've never heard anyone say, I want to be clear or clear things up before giving responses that absolutely don't do that at all. LOL. Colin, look, man, I'm going to ask you for the 17th time, who's funding the game? Hasan. So the prologue is actually a full game with the platinum trophy, and you don't play as Jason Longfield, and it's going to be a low price. This guy is like a politician. Hasan has perfected the art of using a lot of words to say nothing at all. My God, this is brutal. He's like a high school student fabricating stories after getting caught smoking weed by the principal. My man has a bright future as a politician. This man didn't answer a single question clearly. This is amazing. I'm only 10 minutes in and I don't believe a word he's saying. Who's funding the game? Basically, there's this guy with an eye patch named Paul. He's your brother. That whole scenario was a wild exchange. Couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, it's pretty funny, dude. Let me see. This is a crazy good mask and voice modulator for Kojima. He's a freaking genius. Oh, man. I love that nice Colin gives after hearing there is a platinum trophy. Yeah, I don't know, man. What do you guys think? What do you, after seeing this interview, what do you think of the whole blue box thing and Hasan? I love the moment at 3740 where Colin asks him about PlayStation Neighborhood, knowing exactly what he's trying to get. The man is just a chess grandmaster, as you can tell from his smile as Hasan refuses to answer. Very interesting. I think I could go over here now. Let's see. Yogesh, you're saying MBG just started God of War on Boosteroid Cloud. What a masterpiece. Also just finished Sekiro on my Series S 100%, my second Souls game after Elden Ring. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for that super chat, man. Yeah, God of War is a masterpiece. I want to know when we're going to hear more about Ragnarok, man. That's what I want to know. I feel like the time has come. At least it's coming soon. Seems that way. And Sekiro, congrats on getting 100%. That's a daunting task. Yeah, so I'll give you guys my thoughts after I mean, this is not my first time watching this interview. By the way, guys, we have over 780 people here. Please hit that like button for me to help the stream. Hit the like button. Let's see if we can get to 500 likes. But my thoughts on this are pretty simple. I don't believe that Blue Box is in any way connected to Kojima Productions, Sony, Konami, or anything else. I actually do believe one thing about it, and that is that they are not what at one point maybe we thought they were. And I gotta admit, like, the roller coaster ride of this was insane. And even now, you know, just getting these interviews out of nowhere with Hasan and seemingly still getting nowhere, still getting no clear answers. To me, it really does start to kind of paint a clear picture that I don't think there's anything to this. I think that the idea, this is an indie dev who got a little bit of money or had a little bit of money, did some self-funding and hired some, I don't know, just, you know, some outsourcing studios temporarily, and then those outsourcing studios went away when they couldn't keep funding the game. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like this pretty much did, in a way, answer our questions. I do think that there were some there's still some strangeness with the way Hasan speaks and the way he's kind of answering certain questions, but I used to think that the strangeness of it all, it's because there was something being hidden, like something good, like it's going to be an exciting reveal and whatever. But yeah, at this point, it's pretty clear that it's look, if they end up actually making a game, I just realized there's like a string on my hat here. I have to cut that. I mean, if there's anything else to this, yeah, I don't think there is. I don't think there is. Last year was crazy. If you would ask me at this time last year, I would have told you absolutely there's something weird going on here. But I will say this. It really you do have to wonder. And I think that this is actually the most tangible thing we can say. You do have to wonder, since Hideo Kojima is actually working on two different projects. He did confirm that. And we haven't heard anything about them. I have to assume that we're going to probably learn about Kojima's next game, one of them, this year. I really do wonder if this whole thing that happened and the way it went down has had any impact on how Kojima is, and whoever he's working with, is going to market their next game. You know? I feel like there's something actually to be said for that. And I guess Kojima's going to have to make it pretty clear that, like, look, I ain't messing around this time. This is my game. This is what I've been working on. And, so weird, man. So weird. But yeah, that's it. I figured, look, it's been slow for Sony. Ever since April rolled around, Sony's been very quiet. There hasn't been pretty much anything going on. But try my best to, keep making news videos where I can, some opinion videos, some reaction videos. And I figured, you know what? It's a slow day. I could react to this interview. I know a lot of you were talking about it. We talked about it briefly on one of my podcasts, but thought, you know what? Hey, let's just do the whole thing here. So yeah, there you go. That's the Hasan Kahraman interview. I will say one last thing, that I do think that there is, like, Hasan did say in the interview, he's like, I don't know if it's funny or if it's annoying. And I do see that a lot of people do get annoyed. But at this point, I'm just going to kind of throw my hands in the air and say, it is what it is, man. People make mistakes. People screw up. People run with stuff that maybe they shouldn't. I've been guilty of that in the past. I think everybody's kind of had weird situations. And I'm not going to hold a grudge or be angry or pissed off or whatever. It is what it is. I will always say that if you go back to last year, if you go watch the content, it was fun, man. It may not have added up to anything, but it was fun. It was a good time. I thought this interview had some comical elements to it, believe it or not. But it was entertaining. I got to say, like, this was an entertaining interview at the very least. And if that's all I get out of it, then no harm, no foul. It's not like this guy asked me for money or something like that. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see what Abandoned ends up being, if it ends up being anything at all. But that's going to do it for this stream, guys. Thank you to everybody who showed up. Do me a big favor before you head out and you leave the stream. Please hit that like button, and I'll be interested to see what you guys have to say in the comments. But yeah, that's it. I'll try to have a video out tomorrow. And yeah, until next time, guys, take care. I'll see you later.